Okay. All right. Here. Now, for those of you who have a calling, whatever that is that has pushed you, propelled you for your calling, hold on to that. But the thing is, some of you may have degrees, some of you may be degreed, some of you have lived experience. Most of us, because I'm like, degreed or not, working in whatever field that you work in, that or not, usually lived experience has led you, your own personally lived experience led you to your purpose. And if you don't have personal lived experience, it probably is where you observe someone else. And then sometimes you may just naturally have a calling. So, in saying all that, to say that I said you worked in the field, you have a lived experience. So something is still missing because you're like, how are you reaching the people? But really, the thing is, do you have the capacity for your calling? And that's something that I had to come to terms with, y'all. So, what if I told you that I mean, the biggest thing that is missing from your success is not more discipline, it's more capacity. Because for your calling, if you do not have the capacity for your calling, you not just buckle down, you may break down, you may quit. Some of you may pause and slow down till you're making no movement at all. And one thing that I learned, even from my own lived experience, like, ooh, no one is teaching you how to build your capacity in order to survive the hardest time, the hardest moments while you're still showing up, while you're still, have a purpose. And your purpose, some of you, your purpose may be your 9 to 5, it may be corporation, but for a lot of us, it's outside of that. How do you have the capacity to show up? How do you have the capacity to serve the people that you were born to serve? Because one thing that I can say is, as a therapist, for those of you who do not know me, I am Sharon D. Brown. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. But my main thing here is that I am here to help purpose driven women to build your capacity, to cultivate your capacity for your calling. Because if you don't have capacity, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to lose yourself. And we don't want that. There's no need of you doing all of this wonderful work and you're not showing up for yourself. You don't have the energy, you don't have the capacity, you're not able to focus. But as a therapist, one of the things that I have seen, I have worked with individuals who experience homelessness. I've worked with executives. I've worked with everyday people. And the thing that I have seen that is missing, first, what they all have in common, all of us, because we all experience it at some time in our lives, is stress. It's not just stress, being distressed, emotional distress, emotionally drained. And sometimes you don't know if you're coming and going. You just don't know that everyone in every walk of life are emotionally depleted, emotionally drained, and even sometimes emotionally detached from themselves, from their family, from their community. And what I saw was like, oh, we talk about mental health, but we're not teaching people how to cultivate their capacity for those moments in life. And we're all going to have it. It don't matter how much you prepared, no one can prevent the mountains and all of the things, the trials and tribulations that come in life. No one can really completely prevent that. Number one, I mean, look at the pandemic. No one expected that at all. So, no one, again, was teaching. We're not generally teaching individuals, people, everyday people, how to increase your capacity. And as a purpose driven woman, a purpose driven purpose person, in that, if you're not increasing your capacity, you're pretty much setting yourself up to fail. So, I do have some talking points, and sometimes I'm going to be referring to my what I have written down, because if not, because if anything, I could talk about anything and I could go on and on and on point, but I want to make sure there are certain points that I make. And so, no matter how much you prepare, if you are not purposely, intentionally increasing your capacity, meaning sustaining your capacity for those hard things in life, because of the fact life doesn't stop because you have a crisis, life doesn't stop because um, life be life, and life doesn't stop because you're overwhelmed, because you have too much on your plate. The bills still come, the electricity still has to be paid, the mortgage or the rent still has to be paid. For those of you who have partners who are married, there's still, certain things that you are obligated to, especially for those of you who have kids. And then for those of you who work in 9 to 5, you have a team. For those of you who have your own business, some of you are a solo business and some of you have a team. And still for you to be able to show up, or at least have your business in a way where your absence will not break the business down. And this is where we all want to be. At the end of the day, you still have responsibilities, when it come up to things. And so, how do you keep showing up without losing yourself? Because I can definitely tell you there have been times in my life, different points in my life, that I felt like, definitely felt overwhelmed. And then felt like, I'll put it like this, I realized after the fact, ooh, I lost myself. Even though I was showing up. I was showing up at work. I was showing up, I'm going to say in relationship. I was showing up as a daughter. I was showing up as a sister. But how much was I really showing up for Shared? How much was I really showing up for myself? So, when it comes to your capacity, capacity is your ability to carry life, to carry it as well as you can. I'm going to say as well as you can, without you losing yourself, without you breaking down, having a breakdown. I remember, I'm going to say it was more so when I started all of the capacity and self care work, for myself. And I started diversifying of how I learn. That make a big difference. And as you as an entrepreneur, as you as a purpose driven woman, make sure that you have a diverse way of learning, because you just can't do it one way. I'm just telling you that. You just can't do it one way. And so, for you to be able to have the capacity to carry life again without breaking down and without falling apart, without, even though it can still feel like a lot. But you know you're going to get to the other side. And for you to be able to carry it with grace, with confidence. And capacity is your ability to think clearly, to be able to focus, to regulate your emotions. We hear about that. It's like, oh, what did I mean? Something must be wrong with me if I gotta regulate. No, it's just the way that the body is. It's the way that the mind, the spirit, and the body works. They're intertwined, they're not separate. And the thing is for you to be able to recover from setbacks and not get stuck and not be in a loop. To be able, again, to think clearly and make decisions. And above all, y'all, to stay connected with yourself. Because what's the use of doing all of this? It's like, oh yeah, I need to be a blessing for others. Oh yeah, I need to be a service to others. I need to be a servant. I'm here. But if you are not cultivating capacity so that you can take care of the most precious treasure creation that has ever been born, which is you. At the end of the day, you are responsible for you. Not in a selfish kind of way. Again, there's no need of having a purpose and you cannot truly live in it fully. I'm not saying everything gonna be, happy go lucky all the time, because it's not. That is false. If you if anybody makes you think that, that is totally false. And then especially when it comes to running a business, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, because I got stories to tell you, y'all, regarding my own transformation. And let me tell you something about transformation. We're always evolving. You're always transforming. If you don't think that you are, just go ahead and get off the line. This isn't for you, okay? This isn't for you. But in entrepreneurship and in running the business, we have been taught to hustle, been taught to pretty much to grind and to push through, especially as women. We've definitely, I'm like, I don't know where I got that message from, to push through. And we know life is like that to a certain extent, the way that our society is. But we don't want you to just push through, to deplete yourself, to be connected with yourself. Your family don't know who you are. Your job don't know. It's like, oh yeah, there's something, different about her. You want people to be able to say that in a good way, not because you lost yourself, not because you're having a breakdown. And then, especially as women, learn to be strong, keep going, or you got to show up, especially for those of you who are married, who are partner, who have kids. Oh, yeah, I got to make sure that I am there for everybody. Like everybody got to come to you. No, 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 no. This is where you put that CEO hat on and say, hey, who can I give this to? And that's another reason to make money as well. And we don't talk about it a whole lot on the business side about regulating your nervous system, but it comes up in so many different ways. It comes up every time you pause, every time you hesitate, either in making a decision and making connections and not collaborating and not pitching or following up anytime you think, oh, well, I don't want to bother them. I'm doing this too much. It's business. It's business. Not unless someone specifically tell you, do not email me back. In which, when someone has a business, I mean, if it doesn't align, it doesn't align. I get that. But no need of having an attitude if you run a business. Because you're going to be pitching to someone. Everybody is pitching to someone in some form or another. Just remember that. But the thing is, we want to make sure you have the capacity so that you're able to rest, you're able to restore, and you're able to replenish. Because when you're not able to do that, you burn yourself out, and then your purpose gets demolished. Some of you even stop. Yeah, sometimes you may need to like through the experience of itself, sometimes you may need to revamp certain things. But the core of your purpose, to be honest, y'all, you were born with it. You were born with it. So for me, when my mom was hospitalized for 90 days because of medical mishap, medical mayhem, life didn't stop. I still had to work. And at that particular time, it was exactly a month after I was promoted. I was working at a place for several years and then end up getting promoted. And I knew my mom was having surgery. She was supposed to be in the hospital just for 5 days for recovery. Y'all, between the surgery, the hospital, it was 90 days of ICU, of acute hospitalization in medical rehab. 90 days. And oh, and my poor stepdad. Because of course he took a, thank God he was there to be able to help her when she got discharged. Thank God for that. But still, on an emotional side and in the ways that I did support, because I visited her every single day when I got off of work. Every single day, no matter how I felt, I visited her wherever she was. And there were some times I even spent the night in the hospital. Well, how was I able to do that? How did I have the capacity to be able, again, to be a supervisor for a fast-paced environment, to supervise others, to participate in leadership meetings and things like that, and to be able to be there for my mom. How was I able to do that? I didn't have the language for it at the time, but one of the things that I did do is that I went walking every day. I either went walking or I went to the gym. Pretty much at that time in my life, I more than likely was walking. Now, I do have to say, I didn't start the walking because of my mom. It was because of the promotion of being a supervisor, and I knew it was going to be even more taxing on me. And I wasn't even walking like to lose weight. I walked for my mind. I walked for that. So you see the compound effect of how things can happen sometimes? I walked because of that. And that walking gave me the capacity to be able to run my team and to be able to be there for my mom. And it gave me the emotional capacity to withstand the chaos, the overwhelm, all the things that was taxing on my capacity in and of itself. Walking was able to do that because I still had responsibilities. I still had bills to pay. And then, it wasn't early in my career, but still, but to be able to function, that's the thing, y'all. It's not just about you all doing the things, but it's also about you doing the things, being who you are in order to do the things. It's to have the capacity to be able to do that, to be able to make sound decisions. And to be honest, that really helped me. That really helped me from pretending that I was okay. It was another way of relieving the tension. So, what do you do in your daily life to relieve daily tension, but especially when things can be taxing emotionally? It's the everyday things that you do. And like I said, I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't have the language for it, but I was building my capacity to be able to withstand the pressure that I was over. Because believe me, at that particular time of being a supervisor for a very fast paced environment, that's a toll of itself, of the expectations and all of that. And then plus to be able to show up for my mom, to have the energy. And I didn't care how I felt anyway. But we don't want to have that attitude. You want to be able to refresh, to restore, to replenish, and to get the rest. And rest doesn't always mean sleep, y'all. Definitely remember that. The main thing is it's about giving your nervous system enough support so that you can keep going. And that's one of the things that I did. Now, I mentioned it a little bit before, but I really want to reiterate. As a therapist, one of the things that I have seen, that I've experienced, and that I help people work through is I've worked with individuals who are homeless, I work with individuals who are executive, and I work with individuals who are in between every day. And even with caregivers, they all, including me, experienced emotional distress. And we all have it for different reasons, but especially when it's something that you can pinpoint, like my mom having the medical mayhem and medical mishap. I'm trying to combine both of the words. Trying to and I'm pausing because a lot of times, y'all, you're so busy in serving others that you forget to serve yourself. No more of that because you can't do it and it's not sustainable. It is not sustainable at all. So, in saying that, again, when it comes to someone who is experiencing homelessness and someone who's an executive or anyone in between, everyone is experiencing emotional distress. And it's not about life getting hard, being hard for one person. The nervous system doesn't know the difference. No matter the environment, they just know it just knows that it's emotional distress. So this is one of the reasons that I teach, that I talk about capacity. It's not because life is easier or gets easier. It's to prepare you for all of that. It's to help you be stronger. Because of the fact, if you do not have rituals and practices in place on an everyday, I mean everyday basis to help you cultivate capacity, it's an ongoing thing, y'all. It's not a done and finish. It's like, oh, you know, I did that at that particular time. No, because everyday life impacts your capacity. It interferes with your capacity to lead, to be of service, to be a servant, and the way that you show up as a person, the way that you show up as a mother, as a sister, as a grandparent, but especially the way that you show up for yourself. So, again, this is why I teach capacity, because without it, you burn yourself out, you become detached, not even from your purpose, but from yourself. You end up losing yourself and things get overwhelmed. Things could become overwhelmed anyway. But when you have capacity, rituals, and practices, and things that you can do on a daily basis, not saying that it's makes it easier, but it does make it less difficult. So, if anything that I have said today resonated with you and you want to learn more, and you're like, you know what, I need to be in an environment where I can constantly increase my capacity, I want you to comment or DM me capacity, because we can't do this by ourselves. Because the only thing that I know is that without capacity, we get to the other side a whole lot quicker too. We sure do. So let me know where in your life that you need a little bit more capacity. Because again, without it, let's just say it can cause more things. And we don't want that. Not someone who has a purpose, because your purpose is you. It sure is. But anyway, y'all, that is what I got for you at this time. And again, if any part of this message resonated with you, comment capacity, because we cannot do this by ourselves. All right. So I will see you all next time.